Hello and welcome to a little discussion series on shiny forms. My name is Dadman, but you already know that, and in this series we will go through all Pokemon and their shiny forms, including my personal opinions on the designs and changes of designs that happened through the years, as well as alternate shiny forms I think would look better. These are crude edits on my part, so don't expect high quality art for that. I will also ignore Mega and Gigantamax forms, as both are temporary gimmick forms and only visible in battle sometimes. We'll do one generation per video, therefore this will be pretty long, so let's not waste any more time and start with Generation 1. Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur's design started off as a green frog-like creature with a seed on its back, with the first shiny form in Gen 2 only turning a bit more towards yellow. As of Gen 3, Bulbasaur had teal skin and a green seed, and the shiny changed to a bright green skin and a darker green seed. This was kept until Gen 5, but in Gen 6 the shiny suddenly fell into a bath of bleach, ending up with basically the same color for the seed on both the normal and the shiny version, and only the skin changing from teal to light mint green. Personally, I think the 3D model would look a hell of a lot better if it still had the shiny color from Gen 3 to 5. Also, of course, as of Gen 6, the model and texture has been visually identical in all games following it, so no need to discuss past this point really. Ivysaur. Ivysaur's bud is red in its normal form and goes yellow for the shiny, which is a great color change in my opinion. As of Gen 3, the skin tone also goes from the same teal as Bulbasaur to an intense green. Once again, Gen 6 bleached the hell out of the skin, leaving it with the same mint green as Bulbasaur. The original skin tone would probably still look better. Venusaur. Basically the same goes for Venusaur. While we're on the topic of sprites though, what in the name of Arceus is this back sprite supposed to be Generation 1 games? But yeah, from the shiny standpoint, it's basically the same as Ivysaur, where the vibrant green of Gen 3 and 5 gets washed out in Gen 6 and onwards. Again, I'd like the old color better. Charmander. The fire lizard has orange skin throughout its evolution line, but a very weird change in color scheme with the shiny versions. Charmander's shiny form is a brighter, almost yellow goldish orange. This stays true over all of the generations. Now, with its final evolution being black, I would have loved for the entire evolution line to have black shinies. I mean, look at this awesome little lizard, and tell me it doesn't look better. Charmeleon. Very much the same goes for Charmeleon. The normal form has a slightly darker reddish orange, while the shiny form in Gen 2 is just a less saturated version, and from Gen 3 onwards, a bright yellow, gold, orange again. As with Charmander, I'd like to see a black shiny. Charizard. Now Charizard had a very unfortunate shiny in Gen 2, with colors that looked more like Barney the dinosaur than a fierce fire-breathing dragon-like lizard. This was fixed as of Gen 3 when Charizard's shiny became one we all know and love, black skin and red wings. Squirtle. Squirtle started out with dark blue skin and a brownish shell, with the shiny in Gen 2 having lighter blue skin and all of the shell turning green. As of Gen 3, the standard color of Squirtle's skin is suddenly the blue of the shiny from Gen 2, and the front of the shell is a light beige, with the shiny having a blindingly bright blue, the same beige front shell and a green back shell. Gen 4 and 5 suddenly turns the shiny a darker blue, with the shell staying beige in front and green in the back, before Gen 6 just slightly desaturates the standard colors, with the only real difference being the green shell now. There was quite the amount of random changes. Personally, I'm fine with the skin color hardly changing, but then the beige front shell should also turn greenish for the shiny. Wartortle. The normal form is a darker blue, but otherwise the same colors as Squirtle. The shiny does the same green shell as Squirtle in Gen 2. Ruby and Sapphire make the shiny have a very faint purple skin, with the front of the shell staying original beige. Emerald, Fire Red and Leaf Green for whatever reason make the normal form dark purple skinned, with the same shiny as Ruby and Sapphire. Gen 4 continues with a dark purplish blue skinned normal form, and the shiny being light purple with the shell still being green in the back and beige in the front. Gen 5 brings back the blue skin on the normal form and leaves the shiny form the same as Gen 4. Finally today we have a blue skinned normal form and a pinkish blue shiny with a very muddy green in the shell on the back and a darker brown in the front compared to the normal beige. I would personally want the back shell to stay a more vivid green of previous gens instead of the grayish mud color, but otherwise I can live with the shiny. Blastoise. Man, this evolution line sure had some weird changes, no different for Blastoise. Normal Blastoise always stayed a dark blue with a brown shell, even if the brown got darker over the years. Shiny Blastoise though started out with grayish black skin and the usual green shell. That got changed to a lighter purplish blue in Gen 3 and to a pinkish purple in Gen 4 and 5. Today we have a purple skin color on the shiny with the same muddy green shell as Wartortle, but no change in color on the front shell. Looking at that first shiny in Gen 2 though, that wouldn't have been the worst idea, but then again I'd have liked for the entire line to stay consistent, so what we have today is passable. Caterpie. Caterpie turns from green to gold in its shiny form. This has been consistent since Gen 2, and I would not change that at all. One thing though, again, Gen 1, what the fuck is this back sprite? Metapod. Similar to Caterpie, the shiny here has been pretty consistent, as it turns from the normal green to a reddish coloring. From a reddish brown in Gen 2 over actually red in Gen 3 to a dark orange in Gen 4 and onward. Again, I don't see a need to change this shiny. Butterfree. So Butterfree originally turned pinkish on the shiny, with the eyes going from red to bright glow in the dark green. Gen 3 reduced the pinkishness until we eventually end up at today's shiny, which only has pink feet instead of blue ones, and still neon green eyes instead of red ones. Personally, I would much prefer the shiny to be the pink Butterfree from the anime episode Bye Bye Butterfree. Weedle. In Gold and Silver, Weedle turns from yellowish brown to light green. Crystal changed the original color to a darker brown, which then stayed the default color. The shiny was changed to yellow as of Gen 3, and it stayed yellow until today. I would have much preferred the green color from Gen 2 to stay the shiny color, as the current shiny looks like the Gen 2 normal form, which is hardly different from the default brown. Kakuna. Unlike Weedle, Kakuna has always kept its yellow coloring in its normal form. It also kept its green shiny all the way from Gen 2. This is absolutely fine as it is, and I don't see a reason to change that. Beedrill. Once again, a very consistent color scheme, yellow and black striped body and red eyes on the normal version, and green and black striped body with blue eyes in the shiny version. The shade of green might have varied over the years, but all in all, it looks good as it is. Pidgey. Pidgey usually has dark brown feathers on the back, tail, and upper wings. Those turn to a golden color in Gens 2 and 3 for the shiny. The Gen 4 and 5 shiny is a darker, more greenish yellow. As of Gen 6, Pidgey is a much lighter brown in its normal form and only turns a different shade of brown for the shiny. This is probably one of the worst jumps to 3D models in all of Pokemon. I'd like for both forms to go back to their old colors, normal Pidgey back to dark brown and shiny Pidgey back to yellowish gold. Pidgeotto. The red accents on the head and tail feathers turn gold in Gen 2, with the dark brown body turning a lighter brown. This is consistent until Gen 4 and 5 turn the body more muddy greenish than brown in the shiny form, and the red accents turn orange. As of Gen 6, we have a mix of both of these, with the body turning muddy green and the accents turning yellow. While I'm not a fan of muddy green, this is tolerable. Pidgeot. In Gen 2, Pidgeot used to only change its brown body feathers to muddy green, and the red accents of the head feathers only bleached out a bit. This was fixed in Gen 3 and onwards, where the shiny is a slightly lighter brown with the red accents turning golden. This looks pretty good in my opinion, and I wouldn't change it. Rattata. Here's the first one we need to discuss regional forms for as well, but let's go with the standard Cantonian form first. We have a purple rat. The Gen 2 shiny looks grey, almost like a real rat. As of Gen 3, it changed to gold, which I find to be a very nice coloring. Gen 6 and onwards, however, make it muddy green. Now that is garbage. I'd turn that back to gold any day. As for the Alolan form, we start with a black rat and the shiny form is a reddish brown. That actually doesn't look bad, and I can absolutely say I wouldn't change that. Raticate. Now here we have a bunch of switching again. Raticate started out as a dark brown rat, with the shiny being a lighter brown. Gen 3 changed the old shiny color to be the standard color and the shiny to a reddish darker brown. Gen 4 made the darker brown less reddish, and today we basically have the inverse of the original, with the lighter brown being the normal and the darker brown being the shiny. No idea why they switched it, but it's different enough to not warrant a change. As for Alolan Raticate, here we have the same situation as with Alolan Rattata, where black is normal and reddish dark brown is shiny. Nothing to change here either. Spearow. The brown accents become a greenish yellow, while the red accents become orange. Pretty consistent throughout the generations, and I can't say I'd change it. Fearow. Here we have some changes again. In Gen 2, the brown feathers become grey and the red part of the head becomes desaturated. Gen 3 changed that to yellow feathers and faint orange on the head. Gen 4 and 5 have a greenish yellow instead of the more brownish one before. As of Gen 6, the shiny goes to garbage muddy green. Of course, I'd rather see the old goldish yellow from Gen 3. Ekans. So before we do anything else, Gen 1 please, what are you doing? Anyway, we have a purple snake with a yellow ring on its neck. Gen 2 turned it to mud green garbage for the shiny. Gen 3 fixed that, making it almost golden. Gen 4 and 5 made it more green again, and finally as of Gen 6 it reverted to mud green garbage. Quite obviously I'd like the golden design back, and also why not change the yellow ring to a blue one? Would look great. Arbok. More purple snake business. Now Gen 2 had a stroke or something, cause the shiny back sprite goes from muddy green to purple? Like, what? Anyway, ever since Gen 3, the shiny has been golden, with the red parts of the neck shield being blue instead. This shiny looks great and I would never change it. Pikachu. Okay, time for the mascot of the entire franchise. So back in gold, the shiny was much darker than the original yellow. That changed in Gen 3 when it started being so similar to the standard colors that the difference is hardly even noticeable. I mean, I'm fine with the color not changing much. It is the most recognizable Pokemon in the world, and they would probably not want the shiny to be too unfamiliar. However, I would change one tiny detail about the current shiny design. I'd turn the cheeks from red to blue. Raichu. Now, Raichu is usually orange with yellow cheeks and brown paws and ears. The shiny went through a few iterations though. Gen 2 had the orange replaced by gold and the yellow cheeks turned white. Then Gen 3 made the standard orange brighter and took the old orange for the shiny. Gen 4 and 5 went back to the darker orange standard with an even darker reddish orange for the shiny. Finally, as of Gen 6, the standard is a bright orange with the medium dark being the shiny. So it's kinda all over the place. What I'd do for this shiny is the sprite that actually appeared in the yellow version. That's Pikachu colored. So today would roughly look like this. The Alolan version looks fine though, actual difference at all. Sandshrew. So Sandshrew is normally goldish yellow. Gen 2 had the shiny be silver gray in contrast to that. For reasons unknown to anyone, Gen 3 changed that to green. And it stayed green since. I would definitely want that to go back to silver. As for Alolan Sandshrew, the white belly turns dark blue. That looks nice and I would not change that. Sandslash. Originally, Sandslash had a mostly dark brown body and even darker brown spikes. Gen 2 introduced the shiny with mud green on the body and reddish brown on the spikes. Gen 3 made the body Sandshrew colored and lightened up the color of the spikes, with the shiny being beige with bright red spikes. This stayed all the way up until today. I gotta say, I honestly like the red spikes a lot, so for all I care, this can stay the way it is. Nidoran female. Now, the Nidoran line is really one you need to look at as a whole, seeing as the shinies for almost the entire line switch between the male and female versions' color pattern. Female Nidoran are usually somewhere between teal and light purple, depending on which gen you're playing. The shiny form takes the purple color of the male variant. There is nothing I want to change about that. Nidorina. Just like its pre-evolution, it's light blue normally and purple as a shiny. This is exactly what you'd expect and I like that. Nidoqueen. One more time, the normal version is light blue, so the shiny surely is Nidoking purple, right? Yeah, no, they fucked it up. I mean, I can forgive them the Gen 2 one as they had a lot of bad coloring in Gen 2 that got changed later, but they kept that awful color scheme throughout literally all generations. Is it so hard to change that to what it should be? Nidoran male. The male Nidoran variant usually is pinkish purple, and as you'd expect, the shiny turns the light blue of the female. This is how it is supposed to be. Nidorino. As expected, the color patterns again match its pre-evolution. Nidoking. Well, here we have it, the exact colors you should have come to expect. Purple for normal and Nidoqueen's blue for the shiny. So why again did they not fix Nidoqueen's shiny? Clefairy. So this pink thing had the option to change its horrendous color in the shiny version, and instead we went with blindingly green ear tips instead of brown ones. Personally, I don't like it, but I generally don't like pink, or the Clefairy line for that matter, so we'll just keep it this way. Clefable. I'd have loved to just say bigger, more fat Clefairy and jump to the next mon here, but look at that Gen 2 shiny. The wings are green, why didn't they keep that? Vulpix. Firefox. Obviously this Pokemon's line is based on a mythical kitsune, with the normal form having reddish brown fur except for Crystal where it is almost completely red, and the shiny is a nice gold color with bronze tails. Before we go on, dear Diamond, Pearl and Platinum, what the fuck is this sprite? Anyway, as of Gen 6, the shiny kinda got completely fucked over. No longer is the fur golden, it is light brown, and the tails go from bronze to light chocolate color. It would look so much better with the old colors. As for Alolan Vulpix, the base form is white, which is fitting for an ice type, while the shiny is also white. There is literally no difference in these two, except for the tiny accents on the eyes and inside the ears being purple instead of blue. Can we just make this the absolute contrary and make the shiny black instead? Ninetales. The nine-tailed fox of legend, a beautiful cream color with reddish tips on the tails in its normal form, and a silver white with blue tail tips as shiny. This is beautiful and I love this shiny. The Alolan version, however, literally doesn't change at all. They're both plain bluish white, again just make the shiny black please. Jigglypuff. And here we basically have Clefairy again. Like, they have the same color, they both evolve with a Moonstone, they both learn Sing, they're both among my least favorite Gen 1 mons, and they both only get a green accent as their shiny form. In this case, the eyes turn from blue to green. It's straight up garbage. And I'd go more in this direction. A light purple with deep purple eyes. Wigglytuff. It's literally Jigglypuff, but bigger and elongated. Same treatment. Zubat. A blue bat with wings that are purple on the underside and ears that are purple on the inside. The shiny in Gen 2 only changed the blue to green. While Gen 3 and after, additionally to that, we also get the switch from purple to peach colored on the inside of the ears and the underside of the wings. It looks like a flying cucumber and I don't like that. Especially since the shiny could just flip the colors around so it's purple with blue ears and wings. Golbat. Same base design, looks even more like a flying cucumber in shiny, would totally benefit from the same color in version shiny. Oddish. Now, this little piece of weed used to have an almost black body, and in Gen 2 that didn't change for the shiny. It just got yellow leaves instead of the green ones on the normal version. However, as of Gen 3, the normal version is purple with green leaves, and the shiny changed to green with brighter green leaves. It's a shame they ditched the yellow leaves, and I'd love to see a mix of Gen 2 and new on the shiny with a green body and yellow leaves. Bloom. The cap part used to be red on top of a purple body, with the shiny turning orange on top of a lighter body. Gen 3 changed that to brown instead of red, and an according lighter brown for the shiny. From Gen 4 onwards, the body of the shiny changed to muddy green. In general, the entire shiny Pokemon looks like you just put a yellow-greenish filter over the normal coloring. I'd put up with the muddy green body if the cap gets the same yellow treatment that Oddish leaves need. Vileplume. Now, this is really weird. In Gen 2, where Gloom already had its purple body, Vileplume reverted to Oddish's original black. The flower part is a bright red in the normal form and a bright orange in shiny. Nice difference so far. Gen 3 changed the body colors to match the rest of the line, purple and red for the normal version, muddy green and orange for the shiny. And it stayed like that ever since. Now, with my previous edits, I would change this to also match the yellow of its pre-evos, but out of the entire family, Vileplume is easily the best shiny without editing. Paris. Paris started out as a bright orange crab insect looking thing with red mushrooms on its back. The shiny in Gen 2 desaturated the orange and made the mushrooms almost yellow. This looked actually not that bad. Gen 3, for whatever reason, switched the desaturated orange on the normal version with bright red mushrooms, while the shiny was darker orange with the same red mushrooms. Until Fire Red and Leaf Green changed the mushroom back to yellow. Gen 4 then changed them back to red again, cause they're literally dumb, and we've been stuck with the shiny being basically the equivalent of dragging the saturation slider to the right since then. I would not suggest a change if they kept the yellow, but honestly, I think blue mushrooms would stick out even nicer. Parasect. For some reason, this one consistently stayed with the darker red being the normal form and the desaturated version being the shiny. Just for consistency, Paris and Parasect should have the same basic body color and also the same mushroom colors. Therefore, this is what I'd have liked to see. Venonat. Here we have something consistent again, purple fur and red eyes in its normal form and blue eyes as the shiny. No need to change that, this looks great. Venomoth. This also has been pretty consistent, with the only outlier being Gen 2 where the shiny was light purple instead of the light blue. It has been ever since Gen 3. Similarly, the normal form changed to a more pastel purple than in Gen 2. Again, no need to change anything here. Diglett. It's supposed to be the head of a mole sticking out of the ground, and nobody has ever seen anything of the underground part of this Pokemon. Brown body and red nose is the standard coloring, with Gen 2 introducing a shiny that somehow affected the ground around it to turn blue, along with its nose. Later iterations restricted that to the nose alone, and even if it is a subtle change, I like it. As for Alolan Diglett, who starts out looking like a normal Diglett with 3 blonde hairs on its head, this one turns darker brown and still gets the blue nose in shiny. Looks neat, no need to change that. Dugtrio. It's literally 3 Digletts, same goes for the shiny. It's literally 3 shiny Digletts. Alolan Dugtrio is also 3 Alolan Diglets, but they grew out the hair. Same shiny form too. Again, no need to change that. Meowth. Oh great, 3 forms to go over. Okay, standard Cantonian Meowth is based on a Siamese cat, as evident by the darker ears, paws, and tail, a pattern called points. Now, the only thing that really changes about Meowth in its shiny form is the color of its points, from brown to pink. It's hardly noticeable. I would enjoy a fierce looking black Meowth with yellow eyes. As for Alolan Meowth, it usually has a more bluish white color than its Cantonian counterpart, and the points are hardly noticeable. The shiny goes to a beautiful dark blue with purple points, which I cannot think of a way to improve upon. Galarian Meowth is usually a grey Viking looking thing with black points, while the shiny turns its fur to the color of Cantonian Meowth with the points staying black. A very cool shiny, and I wouldn't change that. Persian. Here we basically have the grown-up version of the Siamese cat. Persian used to also have the points pattern, but lost that in Gen 3, which kinda means it's not a Siamese cat anymore. At that point, the only difference between the normal and shiny form started being the color of the inside of Persian's ears. It's literally not noticeable and would look a lot better in the black version I would also use for Meowth. Alolan Persian literally mirrors Alolan Meowth's colors, so that can stay. Psyduck. A yellow duck with constant headaches. Gen 2 made the shiny a dark blue color, which looked neat. As for Gen 3, the blue is lighter, but it still looks great, so there's literally no reason to change this. Golduck. The evolution of Psyduck is blue by default. The Gen 2 shiny gets a bit lighter and has a reddish beak. Gen 3 made Golduck be lighter by default and desaturated the shiny. And as of Gen 6, the shiny is darker blue. I absolutely don't like anything about this shiny, and I think a literally golden Golduck or something along the lines of Psyduck's color would be good. Mankey. This monkey has white fur and brown paws. The shiny is a slightly different white. That's it. Garbage. Nothing is worse than a shiny that doesn't noticeably change. How about we make the paws red instead? That would make for a nice shiny. Primeape. Basically same thing, but bigger. The paws change their tone of brown from the normal to the shiny, that's all. Again, keeping it in line with my earlier design, make the paws red. Growlithe. The fire dog starts out as an orange dog with tiger patterns and a white tail and mane. The shiny in Gen 2 was garbage as it changed the orange to brown. As of Gen 3, the shiny is a golden yellow instead. This shiny looks great. Arcanine. Literally same story, just with a bigger dog with more mane. The shiny is great and doesn't need change. Poliwag. A tadpole with a blue color. The shiny always only made the blue slightly lighter. Hardly noticeable, so really not good looking. So why not make it match the final evolution's shiny form even if muddy green isn't the greatest color? At least make it consistent and different enough to notice. Poliwhirl. It lost its tail and grew arms, otherwise it's the same color scheme. Again, hardly noticeable, so the green version would be better. Poliwrath. I never understood why the shiny for Poliwrath was the only one to get turned green after Gen 2, but it at least looks different. They should have had the entire line be consistent. Abra. Abra is a yellowish brown fox-like-ish psychic creature with brown shoulder pads. Now Gen 2 introduced a shiny that is slightly lighter color with purple shoulder pads. These shoulder pads gradually lost color though throughout the further gens, until Gen 5 had them basically become the same brown as the base form. This makes Abra literally look the same in normal and shiny, which is garbage. The purple shoulder pads should have stayed. Kadabra. Similarly, Kadabra started out with the shiny having the same purple shoulder plates. This again got changed to basically being the same as the non-shiny. Again, the purple should have stayed, and maybe the red patterns should have been teal instead for the shiny, I don't know. Alakazam. For some reason, Alakazam's brown accents became a much lighter purple in Gen 2, and then turned into pink for the rest of the series. This makes no sense, as these browns are literally the same. So let's go ahead and keep that purple, alright? Machop. Here we have a pretty weird color progression again. If you count yellow, we started with green that's somehow blue from behind, go to brown for Gen 2, with the shiny being gray, and then Gen 3 and onwards the standard is teal, with the brown Gen 2 design being the shiny. I honestly like the shiny like that, and it's a nice nod to the Gen 2 designs, and it can stay like that. Machoke. Weirdly enough, we start similar to Machop in yellow, but keep the green for Gen 2, with red accents. The shiny in Gen 2 is literally only changing the accents to blue. Gen 3 keeps the shiny the same, but changes the normal form to have purple skin instead. This stays the same all the way up till now, and I have no complaints. Machamp. Boy, is this a chaotic evolution line with its colors. We start again with yellow somehow being two different colors, and Gen 2 somehow makes the normal form revert to Machop coloring, while the shiny stays green. Gen 3 kept the theme as the base form is the same teal as Machop in that gen, and the shiny stays green again. Gen 4 finally makes the normal form gray, and the shiny again stays green. Looks a bit like the Hulk, but whatever, it's fine. Bellsprout. Here we started out with a mostly green sprite in Gen 2, that turned mostly gold in its shiny form. Gen 3 made the head of Bellsprout yellow with the leaves staying green. The shiny had a brighter yellow in the head and golden yellow leaves. These became pure light yellow as of Gen 4. Generally, I like the shiny, but as we'll see in just a moment, consistency within the evolution line would be great, as the normal forms are consistent. Weepinbell. We start with mostly green again and a big red mouth in Gen 2. The shiny turned this mouth purple and the rest of the Pokemon yellowish green. Gen 3 finally brought the normal form in line with the body being yellow with green leaves and red lips. The shiny stayed completely yellowish green with a purple mouth. Gen 4 and 5 faded the purple to pink and made the body of the shiny more yellow and the leaves more green. Finally, as of Gen 6, the shiny is a faded version of the normal colors. They basically ruined it over time. Let's move this in line with my earlier Bellsprout design. Victory Bell. The final evolution also started out mostly green with red lips and the shiny being yellowish with blue lips. Gen 3 again moved the standard form in line, making the body yellow, the leaves green and the mouth red. The shiny here, however, was a lime green body with brown leaves and a blue mouth. This is the design they kept. I would like to see this also be moved in line, making the body yellow again and the leaves a bright yellow, keeping the mouth blue like I put it on the other evolutions. Tentacool. Gen 2 basically did all the work here already, blue body with red accents for the normal version and purple body with green accents for the shiny. This was kept all the way until today, understandable, it looks great. Tentacruel. Same thing, just bigger and with more tentacles. Again, it looks great, so we don't need to change anything. Geodude. Unsurprisingly, we start with a rock-colored rock, whose shiny form is a more brownish rock. Gen 3 then made the normal rock a bit more green, with the shiny becoming golden. Gen 4 reverted the normal color to stone gray and kept the golden shiny. This one is good, I like it a lot actually. The Alolan form is a steel type, who is accurately steel gray in its normal form. The shiny becomes copper colored, and I love it. Graveler. Same basic deal, just that the original shiny was dark brown and stayed brown. It's close enough to the pre-evolution to make it fit, so no need for a change. The Alolan form does the same, going from a slightly different gray to a slightly different dark brown that's not quite copper colored. Also good design. Golem. Yeah, this is literally a carbon copy of Graveler's colors, both on the Cantonian as well as the Alolan version. All I can say to this is the back sprites were apparently really hard to make, cause this looks like he's falling over, this looks like a pile of rocks, and this is a disembodied arm on the ground next to a rock. Ponyta. White horse with red fire mane. Gen 2 completely drained the color from the fire for the shiny, which looked horrible, but Gen 3 and onwards had beautiful blue flames on the shiny. That's one of the reasons this was the first shiny I caught while hunting in the stream. The Galarian form is the Pokemon version of My Little Pony with a pink and teal mane that turns blonde and teal in the shiny. This is obviously a good shiny as well. Rapidash. This is the exact opposite story of Ponyta, at least for the Cantonian form. It is still a white horse with a fiery mane, but Gen 2 made the fire turn purple for the shiny. That looks absolutely amazing. Sadly, as of Gen 3, the fire is grey instead, completely void of color. It would look so much better with the same blue flames as Ponyta. The Galarian form has the same colors as its pre-evolutions, so we have no issue here. Slowpoke. Normally it's pink. Gen 2 had the shiny be purple, which is great. Gen 3 suddenly changed it to a lighter pink, and we had that since then. I want the purple back really. As for Galarian Slowpoke, the normal form looks almost identical to the Cantonian form, but has golden accents. The shiny is completely golden. Absolutely great, and no need to change that. Slowbro. For some reason, this one kept its purple skin and changes the shell color to brown from the normal whitish gray. Nothing to complain here. As for Galarian Slowbro, as of the writing of this, it literally just got revealed, so we have no idea about the shiny yet. Two things I could see happen are gold like the pre-evolution, or purple like the accents, with the shell again turning brown on both occasions. Magnemite. So weirdly enough, the sprite from yellow was golden, while Magnemite is usually unsurprisingly steel colored. Gen 2 literally only changed the bluish gray to a colorless gray for the shiny. As of Gen 3, the normal version is gray with the magnets having a blue and red pole, while the shiny is faintly gold with the magnets being a solid black. While the shiny is not hugely different from the non-shiny, it's definitely different enough and looks neat. Magneton. It's 3 Magnemites stuck together. Literally everything I just said is applicable to this one as well. Farfetch'd. Cantonian Farfetch'd is a dark brown colored wild duck with a leek. The Gen 2 shiny went with a gray coloring, while everything after has a slightly lighter brown on the shiny. It is practically not even changing, so I'd go with a yellow coloring instead. Galarian Farfetch'd is literally the same, with the standard and shiny both being slightly darker than the Cantonian versions. And again, yellow would be better. Doduo. A brown double-headed flightless bird. The shiny in Gen 2 was a yellowish brown, while Gen 3 and onwards have had green shinies. Looks slightly irradiated, but whatever. Dodrio. Literally the same bird, but now it has 3 heads. No reason to spend any more time here. Seal. Well, it's literally in the name. It's a seal. A white seal. And the shiny is also white. Stupid, really. Could be blue instead, you know? Dugong. Same deal, it's white either way, so blue would make it a lot better. Grimer. A purple pile of sludge. The shiny has always been green, and that is fine. The Alolan form is a green pile of sludge with a yellow accent, and the shiny goes back to the original Cantonian purple color. This is a really cool idea, and I like that a lot. Muk. Same deal, usually purple with the shiny being green on the Cantonian form, and normally green with yellow and purple bands in the Alolan form, with the green becoming purple for the shiny. Shelder. Shelder's purple shell turns orange for the shiny form. Always been like that, and honestly it looks good. Cloyster. Cloyster also has a purple outer shell, but for some reason it turned a brighter, more intense purple in Gen 2. As of Gen 3 and onwards, it turned a bright blue. While I like the blue shiny, I would prefer it to be consistent about the shiny color the same way it's consistent about the standard color. Orange Cloyster would be sick. Ghastly. A ball of gas, purple in color normally and blue for the shiny. It doesn't look bad, but as it's a ghost, I would really prefer a design along the lines of Mega Gengar, as in ghostly white. This would look absolutely awesome. Haunter. The only difference between the shiny and non-shiny is the color of the tongue. It's red for the standard form and blue for the shiny. Pretty unspectacular. Again, white would be amazing. Gengar. Unfortunately, Gengar is the worst in the line, as it literally doesn't change at all. Again, a ghostly white would be so much better. Onix. A rock snake that is unsurprisingly rock colored and more surprisingly has less base attack than an Oddish. The shiny is a greenish yellow, and that's okay. Drowsy. Yellow and brown tapir becomes light and dark pink. Not the most aesthetically pleasing color, but at least obviously different. Hypno. Pure yellow with white fur around the neck becomes pure pink with white fur around the neck. Again, I don't necessarily like it, but not everything can look amazing. Krabby. We start out with a red crab who turns almost gold colored for the shiny in Gen 2. The Gen 3 and onwards base form is much more orange, and the shiny goes more towards yellow. Honestly, good design, no need to change that. Kingler. Kingler's base form is basically the same color as Krabby in every gen. However, Gen 2 had an almost black shiny, while the other gens have a muddy green one. If it's just for consistency's sake, I'd rather have this one be yellow as well. Voltorb. The design obviously is based on a Pokeball, and the shiny has always been blue instead of red, making it look more like a Great Ball. Even if this gives me PTSD about my first ever encounter with a wild shiny that wasn't the static Gyarados in the Lake of Rage, back while I was randomly running around Pokemon Ruby and encountered a shiny Voltorb, only for it to not stay in a ball and self-destruct right away. The design is great, and we definitely don't need to change that. Electrode. Electrode is an upside down bigger Voltorb, in both normal and shiny, so this is consistent and looks great, so no need to change anything. Execute. The egg-like seeds are usually pink, with Gen 2 making the shiny green, which looked like rotten eggs. Ew. Gen 3 through 5 had yellow eggs for the shiny, which at least didn't look disgusting, and currently the shiny basically has an eggshell brown color, which makes them look a lot more like actual eggs and looks different enough to be distinguishable. Exeggutor. The palm tree that evolves from the seeds usually has green leaves, with the shiny getting brown leaves, making it look like a tree in autumn. Additionally, the brown of the trunk gets a bit lighter as of Gen 3 for the shiny form, with Gen 4 turning it all the way to yellow. This goes for both the Cantonian as well as the Alolan Exeggutor. Cubone. Cubone's normal color is brown. The shiny has always been green. Again, muddy green isn't the greatest color, but all in all it looks okay. Marowak. Basically same deal, brown for the normal form results in green for the shiny. The Alolan form, however, is usually black with a bone that glows with green ghostly fire. Turning its skin purple for the shiny is a bit unspectacular. I'd rather see it turn a dark blue, with the fire also changing to a deep purple. Hitmonlee. The normal color of this fighting type is brown. The shiny turns a gross green. There aren't enough red shinies in my opinion, so let's go with that. Looks a lot better. Hitmonchan. Originally both its clothes and boxing gloves were red, with the shiny turning them blue. Gen 3 changed the clothes to a faint purple that stays between forms. The skin of the shiny now turns green, and the blue gloves stay from before. This is basically what we have now. Honestly, doesn't look that bad. It's distinguishable at least. Lickitung. The usual pink color of this Pokemon becomes a weird, undefinable garbage color for the shiny in Gen 2. Nicely enough, Gen 3 and onwards, the shiny is yellow. Coughing. So we start with a purple ball of poison gas that produces purple clouds. The shiny in Gen 2 makes it a blue ball of poison gas with blue clouds. Gen 3 and onwards then have the purple ball leak greenish to yellowish gas, with the shiny turning teal and taking the purple gas of the normal form from before. All in all, a good shiny, even if the blue from Gen 2 was really cool too. Weezing. Basically went through the same stages and looks equally good. The Galarian form, apart from having a Dimmadome hat, is usually grey with green gas that forms facial hair on the two faces. The shiny is the same in brown. The color works even if it's not the greatest. Rhyhorn. It's a rock ground type, so unsurprisingly it's grey in its normal form and changes to a brown color in its shiny form. A fine shiny, nothing crazy here. Rhydon. The normal grey color is a bit lighter, so is the shiny's brown color. Consistent and not bad. Chansey. A pink blob with an egg. The Gen 2 shiny kinda turned green as a whole, which looked a bit weird. Again, rotten eggs vibe. Anyway, as of Gen 3 we have a lighter pink blob with green accents. That looks really good. Tangela. A weird glob of blue tentacles or vines or whatever. It turned kinda teal in Gen 2 with the shiny being neon green. This was fixed in Gen 3 when the base color went back to blue and the shiny became a darker green. It really fits very well. Kangaskhan. This one is a weird evolution again. We start with a brown base form that turns dark grey with green head shields in the shiny form. Gen 3 made the base form have a muddy green head shield and turned the shiny a light grey. Gen 4 and onward have the shiny really not changed color all that much anymore. I would like the head shields to at least get a more vibrant green. Horsea. Blue seahorse that for the Gen 2 shiny only the fins changed color, getting red. Gen 3 made the blue go to a teal color and the fins only slightly reddish, and that kinda stayed that way ever since. It hardly changes from the normal color, so I'd be down for something more substantial like this purple version. Seadra. Originally only the white belly and fin tips went red on the Gen 2 shiny. In Gen 3 and onwards the shiny is a darker blue than the normal form, so the exact opposite of Horsea. Also it has pink fin tips and a pink belly. It really doesn't look that awesome, and I think putting this in line with my Horsea edit would make this look sick. Goldeen. Goldeen is a goldfish that usually is orange. The shiny is once again utterly boring on this as it goes to a slightly lighter orange. I want to see that go yellow instead to actually have it be different. Seaking. This was actually closer to being good in Gen 2 where the shiny was almost yellow. That gradually became a lighter orange again for future gens. As with Goldeen, the yellow would make it look so much better. Staryu. This shiny changed quite heavily as in Gen 2 it originally was blue. While that looks cool and essentially makes it Starmie's color with a blue gem instead of a red one, I feel like the white design we have now is also incredibly cool and goes well with the bright blue gem in the middle. Starmie. And this is where I'm glad they changed Staryu's shiny, because the original shiny for Starmie was already what we get today. Blue, with red accents and a blue gem. As Staryu changes its color drastically when evolving, I'm glad they made Staryu's shiny also drastically change color. Mr. Mime. The Gen 2 shiny looked like somebody had thrown up on it, so good that that changed. Mr. Mime now has green accents where the normal form has pink ones. Galarian Mr. Mime, however, looks like somebody cranked the saturation slider all the way to the left. Hardly changes and would look better with a darker blue on the hair and legs, while the icy blue parts should turn green. Scyther. Let's be real, Scyther hardly even changes in its shiny form. A few red accents is all we get. This would be such a good red shiny, the current one is just disappointing. Jinx. So this one started out with this sprite in yellow, Gen 2 made the hair pure white for some reason, and the shiny hardly changed. As for Gen 3, the design from yellow but with a purple face was the normal version, and the shiny was basically the sprite from Gen 2, with the pink dress and almost white hair. To be honest, I dislike the design of this thing in general, so there is no way I'd come up with a design I'd find good, so whatever next. Electabuzz. For some reason Electabuzz got the Pikachu treatment for the shiny, it hardly even changes. I think making the shiny a nice dark blue would really be neat. Magmar. The yellow parts of its body become pink in the shiny. While it's not my favorite color, I'm fine with it here. Pinsir. In Gen 2, it originally turned from brown to black for the shiny. That does look good, but the change to purple for the rest of the series is actually better. Tauros. So for some reason in yellow it was green apparently. Either way, it's light brown with a dark brown mane. The shiny in Gen 2 went with faint yellow and dark muddy green, while in Gen 3 it got upgraded to yellow with a bright green mane. This looks awesome. Unfortunately, Gen 6 ruined it when the shiny turned to completely muddy garbage green. The old design looks so much better. Magikarp. Magikarp's shiny always has been golden, and that's fine, really not a lot to talk about here. Gyarados. Do I even need to say anything about this one? We all played Gen 2 or its remakes or both, and unless you were insanely lucky, this was probably the first shiny you ever encountered. Red Gyarados is iconic, so next. Lapras. Normal form has blue skin and the shiny purple skin. Looks great. Ditto. Ah yes, the sole reason people do Masuda hunts. Yet the only Pokemon that can breed, but not with itself, and never produces an egg of its own species. We all know the Ditto is a failed Mew clone theory, and the color scheme does uphold that theory, as Ditto is normally pink and turns blue for the shiny. Eevee. Usually it has brown fur, the Gen 2 shiny changed it to grey. That honestly looks weird. Gen 3 then switched it to an almost white light beige that got a bit darker for the following gens. I'd honestly like it to be almost white and maybe add blue accents to the eyes instead of the brown ones. Vaporeon. The water evolution always turned from a nice blue to a horrendous pink. That doesn't do it justice at all. A nice emerald green would make it look a lot better in my opinion. Jolteon. Originally Jolteon went from a bright yellow to a gold color in Gen 2. After that it goes from yellow to greenish yellow. That looks awful. I'd go for a dark blue shiny instead. Flareon. Flareon just straight up doesn't change at all in its shiny form. Obviously that's absolute garbage. So let's take this to a nice light blue and teal coloring. Porygon. In Gen 2, the red parts turned purple and that was it. Gen 3 made the red parts turn blue and the blue parts turn white. That white gradually became more pink and currently the shiny is blue and purple. It looks fine though. Omanite. So in Gen 2 the shiny was black, where the normal Pokemon is blue. Why they changed that to a gross pink in every generation after is absolutely not understandable to me. It would have looked great in black. Omastar. Same deal for Omastar, grayish black would have been amazing looking on this. Kabuto. In Gen 2, the brown shell turned muddy green. Gen 3 and onwards, this got changed to a bright green. That makes it look like it glows in the dark. Kabutops. Similar story, just that it ended up with an almost yellow green in today's shiny. I like the old green back. Aerodactyl. Varied history of colors here again. Originally portrayed as brown in Gen 2 with the shiny being purple, it went to a light grey with purple wings in Gen 3. With the shiny being pink with blue wings. The base form changed one more time to a light purple skin in Gen 4 and 5, while Gen 6 made it grey again. The shiny stayed pink and blue. I hate it. Makes it look like an inverted Zubat. Using the brown from the original Gen 2 sprite for the shiny would be so much better. Snorlax. Originally black with some reddish accents, which Gen 2 changed to blue on the shiny, it went to a purple in Gen 3, with the shiny being bluish. Gen 4 had an absolutely great blue shiny that actually looked different from the normal greenish blue, and today the two are a bit harder to distinguish. Making the blue a bit more intense might help there. All in all, not a bad shiny though. Articuno. Legendary Birds time. Cantonian Articuno is usually a nice blue color. Gen 2 didn't really change the shiny at all, as it's still blue, just lighter. Gen 3 made it a very faint icy blue, which is different enough and fits very well. Gen 4 and 5 almost ruined it again, with the shiny being just slightly lighter blue than the normal form, and today we have the faint icy blue back in there. Galarian Articuno is going to release with the Crown Tundra DLC in November. We therefore only know its normal colors. So let's play a little game. Here is what I predict the shiny will look like. Classic, we couldn't think of another color move. Here is what I'd like the shiny to look like. Blue like the Cantonian version. Looking forward to see what they do, even if we probably won't get to shiny hunt these anyway, cause I guarantee you Game Freak will fucking shiny lock this. Cause they're assholes towards shiny hunters. Zapdos. Now I have this shiny in Pokemon Go. It looks exactly the same as normal Zapdos. Fuck that. Give it a nice dark blue shiny. As for the Galarian Zapdos, same again as with Articuno, here is the normal form, here is my prediction for what Game Freak will do, and here is what I want to see. Moltres. The last legendary bird is yellow with red fire. The shiny turns it red, making it look like a sunburned chicken. Really, if you're gonna make the skin red, at least change the flames to blue. Like, the actual shiny has zero contrast between body and flames. As for the Gala version, again, same prediction game. Here is the normal version, looks really sick. I predict them going the same route as with Yveltal and turning it white instead of black. That would look great, but I'd rather see purple flames. I definitely don't want this one to mirror the original Cantonian colors though. Dratini. Although I'm not a huge fan of pink shinies, I'll leave this one on here. The purple it started out with in Gen 2 really didn't make a difference to the blue of the normal form, so pink is actually a decent choice. Dragonair. Same here, as the color scheme is literally the exact same. Dragonite. Now, I was never a fan of Dragonite being orange, cause why would this Pokemon suddenly turn to its complementary color when it evolves? It does though, so the shiny should do the same. Complementary to pink is green, but bright green, not muddy ass green like the shiny currently is. Mewtwo. The purple tail of the normal form takes a bright green color in its shiny form. Nothing against that really. Mew. And lastly, Mew goes from pink to blue, nothing to change here, it looks awesome. So that's all of Gen 1 done. I will be doing this for all generations, so expect Gen 2 sometime down the line. For now though, thank you for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to not miss future uploads, and check out the rest of my channel while you're here. My name is WWDadman, and I'll see you next time.